Tidge, welcome back to Oddly Specific, the channel where we dive deep into the weirdest corners of history. Today, we're talking about the Olympics, but forget the inspiring tales of human achievement. We're going back to 1904 to St. Louis, Missouri, for what can only be described as the most disastrous, chaotic, and frankly, hilarious marathon ever run. Seriously, this story has it all. Cheating, poison, wild dogs, and a guy who just decided to take a nap. So, picture this. It's August 30th, 1904. The third modern Olympic Games are underway in St. Louis. But underway is a generous term. The whole event was a bit of a sideshow, tacked on to the massive World's Fair. 32 runners from 4 nations line up for the marathon. Sounds normal, right? Wrong! The race was scheduled for 3 p.m. in the middle of a brutal Missouri heat wave. We're talking 90-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, or about 32 Celsius, with soaring humidity. The course was a dusty, unpaved country road full of hills, and to make it even more fun, cars and horses for officials and press kicked up so much dust that runners were literally choking on it. And the water situation? Oh, you'll love this. The organizers, in their infinite wisdom, decided to set up only 2 water stations along the entire 24.85-mile course. One was a water tower at around mile 6, and the other was a well at mile 12. Their reasoning: they wanted to test the limits of purposeful dehydration. Yes, you heard that right. Intentionally withheld water to see what would happen. Spoiler alert, what happened was utter chaos. So the race starts, and almost immediately, it descends into madness. One of the early favorites, a man named William Garcia from the United States, collapsed by the side of the road. The dust he inhaled had coated his esophagus and stomach, causing him to hemorrhage internally. He was found lying on the ground, bleeding, and was rushed to the hospital. He almost died. He was one of 10 runners who dropped out just from the heat and dust alone. But let's talk about the so-called winner, Fred Lors. Lors, an American bricklayer, was one of the front runners early on. But around the 9-mile mark, he hit a wall. He was cramping up, exhausted, and decided, you know what? I'm done. He flagged down a passing car, hopped in, and rode for the next 11 miles, waving at spectators and fellow runners as he passed. Classic. But then, the car broke down. So, with just a few miles left to the finish line, Lors thought, well, I might as well finish this thing. He got out and jogged the rest of the way, entering the stadium to a roaring crowd. He broke the tape, was hailed as the winner, and was even about to receive his gold medal from Alice Roosevelt, the daughter of President Teddy Roosevelt. But, just as the ceremony was about to begin, someone in the crowd shouted, "Hey! That guy's an imposter. He rode in a car." The jig was up. When confronted, Lors just laughed and said, "Oh, it was just a joke." The officials didn't find it very funny. He was banned for life, though they later lifted it because, I guess, they appreciated his commitment to the bit. So if the cheater didn't win, who did? This is where the story gets even weirder. The official winner was an English-born American named Thomas Hicks. Hicks was a decent runner, but he was struggling badly. His support team, seeing him falter, decided to give him a little boost. A performance-enhancing boost? But this wasn't some sophisticated steroid. They gave him a mixture of strychnine sulfateus. That's a common rat poison mixed with raw egg whites and a swig of brandy. Strychnine, in small doses, acts as a stimulant. But it's also, a highly toxic poison. The first dose actually seemed to work. Hicks perked up and started running again. But soon, he was fading again. So, what did his team do? They gave him another dose. And more brandy? By the time Hicks stumbled into the stadium, he was basically hallucinating. His trainers had to physically carry him over the finish line, holding his arms up in a victory pose while his feet shuffled along. He had won. He lost 8 pounds during the race and was so delirious he had to be carried off the field. It took 4 doctors an hour to revive him, and he later said if he had run any farther, he would have died. So, congratulations, I guess. Your gold medal comes with a near-death experience. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about some of the other competitors. My personal favorite is a Cuban postman named Felix Carvajal. This guy was a legend. He raised money to get to the Olympics by running around his entire country. But then, he lost all his money in a dice game in New Orleans. So he had to hitchhike and walk the rest of the way to St. Louis. He showed up at the starting line in his street clothes, a long-sleeved shirt, long pants, and heavy walking shoes. Another athlete felt bad for him and cut his pants off at the knees to make shorts. During the race, Carvajal was doing surprisingly well. He was trotting along, chatting with spectators, and generally having a great time. But then he got hungry. He saw an orchard on the side of the road and decided to stop for a snack. He ate a bunch of apples, which turned out to be rotten. This gave him severe stomach cramps, so he had to lie down and take a nap by the side of the road to recover. A mid-marathon nap. Despite all this, he still managed to wake up and finish in a very respectable 4th place. Imagine what he could have done if he hadn't eaten poison apples and taken a snooze. And the chaos doesn't stop there. There were 2 runners from South Africa, Len Tau and Jan Masiani. They were the first black African athletes to compete in the Olympics. Were actually in St. Louis as part of the World's Fair's Bizarre Anthropology Days exhibit. But someone entered them into the marathon. Len Tau was running a great race and was on track for a potential medal. But then, as he was running through the countryside, a pack of stray dogs appeared and chased him a full mile off course. A mile. He eventually got away but ended up finishing 9th. If not for those dogs, South Africa might have had its first Olympic marathon medalist. In the end, only 14 of the 32 starters actually finished the race. The finishing times were the slowest in Olympic history. Hicks's winning time was 3 hours and 28 minutes. Almost 30 minutes slower than the winner in the next Olympics. The whole event was a complete and utter fiasco. A perfect storm of poor planning, extreme weather, and sheer human absurdity. It's a miracle no one actually died. The 1904 St. Louis Marathon stands as a bizarre monument to everything that can possibly go wrong in a sporting event. It's a story so wild it feels like it has to be made up. But it's all true. From the cheating motorist and the poisoned winner to the napping postman and the dog-chased runner. This race wasn't about the glory of sport. It was about pure, unadulterated survival. And maybe, just maybe, the importance of having more than one water station. So next time you're watching the Olympics and marveling at the incredible athletes, just remember the 1904 marathon. It's a comforting reminder that even at the highest level of competition, things can go spectacularly, hilariously, and oddly specifically wrong. Thanks for tuning in to Oddly Specific. If you enjoyed this dive into historical chaos, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more weird and wonderful stories. So let us know in the comments what other bizarre events you'd like us to cover. See you next time.